In this presentation, we'll examine the current literature pertaining to the food production system in developed nations and the impact of this system on personal and environmental health. We will be using the terms organic and conventional throughout this presentation to describe the food production system. This applies to food production, preparation, and distribution in both theory and practice. The organic system is a holistic approach dating back to the late 19th and early 20th century in Europe. Organic foods are grown without the use of synthetic pesticides, chemical fertilizers, antibiotics, growth hormones, and genetic engineering, which are permitted and often embedded in conventional agricultural practices. Studies comparing organic and conventional food production systems are difficult to design, implement, and evaluate due to numerous uncontrolled variables. But keeping this in mind, this presentation addresses 12 key issues. These include climate change, energy, biodiversity, nitrates, pesticides, mycotoxins, nutrients, genetically modified organisms, human pathogens, antibiotics, hormones, and chemical additives. Currently, one of the most pressing environmental issues of today is global climate change, which is associated with rising concentrations of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Conventional farming and agricultural methods rely heavily on energy-intensive fertilizers, pesticides, and concentrated feeds, and use greater amounts of energy overall, which translates into higher greenhouse gas emissions than organic systems. Livestock are another example. Livestock operations release greenhouse gases as a result of land clearing for pastures and feed crops, through the use of fossil fuels in the production process, and through the use of fertilizers. A variety of methods have been suggested for reducing the dependence on chemical fertilizers, including composting, green manures, cover crops, intercropping, crop rotation, and the use of livestock manure, and all of these are incorporated into organic farming. It is very difficult to compare the constructs of organic and non-organic, as they are both complex systems. Conventional and organic farming systems don't really have a clear definition. A conventional system can range from a high input to a near-organic system. Some organic systems are similar to conventional systems in that they utilize large monocultures, but don't use fertilizers or pesticides. Though there is ample evidence of the benefits of organic farming and agricultural practices to reducing greenhouse gases and mitigating climate change, the main obstacle to its implementation lies in the policy arena. In the U.S., this means a fundamental shift in the way farmers are incentivized, from a quantity of commodity payment system to a system that rewards farmers for implementing methods of farming that enhance the amount of carbon in the soil.
Comparative biodiversity studies on organic and conventional production systems are difficult due to many methodological differences affected by plot scale, landscape structure, soil organisms, and plant and animal species studied. Research on a wide range of habitat, including birds and mammals, invertebrates, plants, insects, and flora, demonstrates that organic farming supports greater biodiversity and abundance across most taxa studied. Nitrates can be harmful to humans and the environment. The use of chemical fertilizers in conventional farming causes accumulation of nitrates in plants and drinking water. Nitrate levels are consistently and significantly lower in organically produced foods. There are many types of pesticides used in conventional farming that negatively impact agricultural ecosystems, the environment, and human health. Pesticides bioaccumulate in food chains and food webs and persist in nature for years. They threaten biodiversity as well as farmed, wild, aquatic, and human life. Chronic exposure can lead to cancer and the disruption of nervous, endocrine, reproductive, and immune systems. Multiple chemical pesticide residues exist in conventional produce, animal meat, and milk fat. Eating an organic diet provides a dramatic and immediate protective effect against dietary pesticide exposure. Nutrient levels in food vary. Many studies have reported no difference in nutrient levels of organic and conventional produce, too much variability in study design and results, or contradictory findings. Conventional systems often add nitrogen-based synthetic fertilizers, causing plants to grow faster and larger. This may cause the food product to have lower primary or essential and secondary nutrient levels. Studies comparing organic to conventional fruits, vegetables, and grains often report that organic foods are higher in vitamin C, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, antioxidants, and various phytochemicals, including flavonoids. Flavonoids are secondary nutrients, and humans with increased flavonoid intake have reduced risk for cancer and cardiovascular, photooxidative, and neurodegenerative diseases. In general, organic farming practices support equal or superior nutrient levels for some nutrients and in crop-specific manners. Genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, transfer insect and viral resistance, herbicide tolerance, delayed ripening, plant sterility, antibiotic resistance, modified nutritional parameters, and/or pharma food traits. Numerous crops are commonly genetically engineered, including soybean, corn, rice, tomatoes, potatoes, and canola. Once a GMO plant species is released outdoors, there is no ability to recall it. No standardized safety test exists for GMOs either. Toxic effects have been repeatedly reported in animal systems at the cellular, molecular, tissue, organ system, and organism levels. Negative alterations have been scientifically documented in the liver, kidney, pancreas, gastrointestinal tract, spleen, pituitary and adrenal glands, reproduction and immune systems, as well as pertaining to blood, biochemical, and immunological parameters. Eating organic foods will nearly eliminate the consumer's exposure to GMOs. There appears to be no more or less risk of foodborne illness or exposure to human pathogens from organic food production as compared to conventional. There is possibly less risk of mad cow disease in organic production since there are no recorded cases of bovine spongiform encephalopathy in any animals born and reared organic in the United Kingdom. More infectious outbreaks occur globally in general due to improper processing, packaging, and handling of foods before and after purchase or during preparation, more virulent bacterial strains emerging, and international food trade. Mycotoxins are produced from fungal infection of plant crops. Mycotoxins increase the risk of cancer, immune suppression, kidney, gastrointestinal, and nervous system damage, hormonal imbalance, and stunted growth. Contamination of food with mycotoxins usually arises on the drying, storage, and manufacturing side rather than the growing side of the food production system. In conventional systems, antibiotics and hormones are used to reduce animal morbidity and mortality and to promote growth to meet production demands. These substances have negative ecological impacts from conventional feedlot runoff. Antibiotic use contributes to antibiotic and multiple drug resistance in animals and humans, and thus pose a greater risk of enteric pathogens. Hormones cause endocrine disruption. Conventional foods can be processed and manipulated into chemical cuisine containing hundreds of permitted chemicals. Processed organic foods are very limited in permitted chemical additives. Those associated with adverse reactions in animals and humans are prohibited. Chemical additives can cause adverse reactions such as abdominal cramps, anaphylaxis, asthma, allergy, cancer risk, behavioral disorders, diarrhea, dizziness, hives, heart disease, headache, nausea, obesity, tooth decay, and weakness.
The largest benefits of organic food production, both human and environmental, may be from the process of growing rather than the actual food product. Organic methods are compatible with social and environmental aims, such as conserving energy, mitigating global warming, minimizing impact on native ecosystems, increasing biodiversity, reducing inputs such as fertilizer, as well as air and water pollution, improving soil, and promoting optimal health and nutrition. Though research may be inconclusive or difficult to compare across study types, the idea that a conventional farming or agricultural system practice or component is either not proven safe or has potential negative implications for human health must be considered paramount. Practices such as genetic engineering and the heavy reliance on synthetic chemicals in conventional systems appear highly risky for human and environmental health. Consumers will benefit in many ways from avoiding high carbon, high-calorie, and possibly lower nutrition processed and conventional foods. Probably the biggest human health reason to eat organic rather than conventional foods is to avoid unknown and potentially detrimental consequences at the gene, metabolic, cellular, organ, system, and being level of genetically modified foods. Consumers are encouraged to consume organic, whole, and unprocessed foods when possible. This switch will support personal and environmental health and sustainability.